Where are you again? It looks like you're. First off, looks like you're in a hostage situation.
I know. I'm in the reflection room at the University of Washington Tacoma Y. So, are you there?
Yeah. You kind of just stopped there for a quick second.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm in the reflection room at the University of Washington Tacoma YMCA. And that's
seriously that is that a thing?
Yeah, it's a reflection room. There's like a piano in here. There's some flowers. I don't know. It's quiet. I felt like I'm at the UW Tacoma Y. I felt like it was better than the old people Y. Although I like the old people Y. I wanted to sit in the steam room today, but for you, I'm coming here. And also I forgot a towel, and I didn't want to be one of those people that air dries in the Tacoma Y.
Now, when you go in the steam room, tell the truth. When you go in the steam room, do you just let it all go?
No, so can't anymore.
Do you go naked? Oh, you can't
go
do
naked anymore. No, they readjusted the steam room. You have to wear trunks in there. So
why? Well, I mean, it's just guys.
Because you have to go out into the public pool area to get into the steam room. So you don't need somebody with their nuts dragging by their ankles to go out there. You know.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of the said steam room is old man winter.
Oh, I
just
know,
swaying in there and dropping down to the ground.
Yeah, no.
How was your flight back?
I was told that one of your guests is an air dryer like that at the Washington Athletic Club, but I can't tell you which one.
Well, I mean, I can probably guess pretty quick. I like a good air dry. I mean, sometimes a good air dry is good. How was your flight back from Toronto? How was Chicago?
So I got up yesterday at 7 a.m. Toronto time. You know, my flight wasn't till 11:30, I think, but like it's, customs in the airport and everything else. It's a little bit of a hassle. So I got up about 7 a.m. Toronto time, and I got home last night. We landed at 10. Of course, we landed at 9:30, a half hour early, but then we spent the next half hour on the tarmac because no words have ever been said at SeaTac Airport more than, our gate is occupied, or we're looking for a gate, or there's something wrong with the gate. So by the time I got off the plane, everything, got my bag, and I mean, like, the baggage area at SeaTac looks like a demilitarized zone right now with all the and then drive to Ording. I think I got home about midnight, so it was a long day. O'Hare was O'Hare. Like, if I was rating the top 5 worst airports in the country, I'd go O'Hare 1. SeaTac is now number 2.
Yes,
moving past LAX and Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta. Those were 3 and 4, and then 5.
LaGuardia,
maybe LaGuardia, or JFK, one of the two. Reagan in DC is not great either. So those are all pretty bad. But SeaTac's 2. I mean, like, it's so awful right now to be there, and it's understaffed, and so it's like, it's not what you want. Like, I can't imagine anybody, like, we get those polls that they say, like, oh yeah, SeaTac rated is one of the top 5 airports in the country. By who?
Don't know. People that work there. Yeah. I mean, the TSA line is a joke. You can't get in there. You can't get through there less than an hour. You're right. It looks like a war zone in there with all the construction. It's the worst airport in the world. And then no one's there when you have to check a bag. There's always like one person at the counter to check your bag, and there's like 30 people in line. Oh, it's
just
nothing
like,
worse than
all these flights seem to land at the same time, and then, like, they're doing road work on the entrance. So, like, last night, when we were leaving, like, the pickup, the arrivals thing was stretched down around past, like, it was, it's like, what, it's just crazy what they're doing. So
you gotta fly. I gotta fly out of Everett. I mean, it wouldn't work for you because where you're at, but I'm gonna start paying the extra money and flying out of there.
Yeah, it's just, it shouldn't be that hard, and yet they make it difficult. And I understand that they're dealing with a small footprint, and I understand that they're trying to make it better. But even the things they make better, it's like the end gate. It's like it's brand new, and it's just still like, what were you thinking when you designed this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care that it's got all these fancy restaurants in there. I don't. I don't want fancy restaurants. You know what? I want a fast TSA line. That's what I want. Put all your money
just would
towards that.
like bathrooms that have like the stalls that or the urinals that have a little bit of coverage, so you don't get somebody sprinkling on your feet or something like that. You know, like have a little bit of space. I mean, my God.
You're so right. Divish's Wednesday and Friday appearances here on pucksports.com, which, of course, you can find all the content there, video, audio at pucksports.com. Also on YouTube, if you're watching right now, just leave a comment below. Comment on Ryan being in a reflection room at the University of Washington.
I'm reflecting on my life choices that I made yesterday on my travel schedule.
I know. That's exactly what you're doing. It's also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. His appearance is brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941, located in Tacoma's Proctor District, family-owned and operated for 40 years. The Frederick family and staff specializes in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience while at our unique 12-lane facility. Go to chaletbowl.com to make your reservations. You, on the Daily Puck Drop today, you were a big feature of this one because that, my friend, was a hell of an article that you wrote today about the first 13 games of this Mariners season with their offense. And I mean, I think we all know the offense is bad. You can just watch it. But when you lay it out where they're at statistically, it is, I mean, it's bad. And then it's like, it's god awful bad. I mean, I'll just recap quickly what you wrote.
That's offense good, I don't actually remember what I wrote. So.
I mean, the slash line offensively overall, 207, 278, 324. 138 strikeouts and 37 walks this year. The two strike hitting, their slash line is 132, 212, 173. They lead Major League Baseball in strikeout percentage, 29%. This is the one that you came up with, and I got to find out where the hell you found this one. Of the 1,183 pitches that this team has seen, 59% have been off speed. Third most in Major League Baseball. They're hitting 198 against those pitches. They're only, and you say, well, they're, and you noted they're great at hitting fastballs. No, they're not. They're terrible at that too. They're hitting 220 and a 339 slugging percentage, fourth worst in baseball. Why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, what's happening?
I think part of it is like, you know, it's the famous in between. But when you're seeing so much off speed stuff that when you finally do get a fastball, they're just not in a good position to hit it. You know, I mean, like a lot of times they're getting these fastballs, maybe not in counts they're expecting to get them, but they're perpetually behind in counts too. And so it's like they finally get a fastball to hit and we're seeing them foul it off. I mean, like, you know, like the numbers against two strikes are bad, but like when you look at the league, nobody is great with two strikes. They're just probably 25 points or 30 points below league average. Same with like fastballs, you know, they're below league average. And because the numbers are so drastic in 13 games, you automatically assume they're not going to stay that way. It's like they're bad at balls in play. Like they've had some unluck with the pitching side. I don't think they'll stay that way, but like this is what teams are doing. And until they figure out how to combat it a little bit, that's why they're gonna struggle. I think the biggest thing is that the concern is like, look, they're missing fastballs that they need to hit and do damage to get leads to, you know, like I think Danny O'Neill pointed out the 5 game or they're 1-8 in games where their starter allows more than one run, you know, like, I think that's a big deal here. And what they've got to start getting some offense to kind of offset. You know, the pitch, even the offense last year was better than what we've seen now. Right. That's why I think it's so, I mean, like, because Polanco's striking out 37% of the time. He's like a career 20% strikeout guy. Oof. So that evens out eventually. Same with like JP not hitting. I think all that stuff evens out. But right now, that's what's glaring is that they're not scoring either. And it's been a problem.
Is it Polanco just go? And do we see this with other teams? Is it just Polanco or others going to a new team and wanting to impress so much that they get out of whatever their mindset and routine is as a hitter? I mean, we saw this with Winker. It was like the Winker was the same deal.
Maybe a little bit. I think Winker got caught up in the T-Mobile and the Marine Air and some balls that he thought would be homers weren't, you know, but there were also other issues under that too. You know, it just wasn't strong enough to do that. Maybe like I think Cincinnati covered up a lot of some of his hitting weaknesses. But like, yeah, I think Polanco's trying a little hard. And then like, you want to get off to a good start. Everybody wants to get off to a good start. And then when you come off and you're not swinging well and you don't feel great in the box, whatever, then it just compounds it. Then you're trying to do more. Oh, I got to get some hits. It's just like, all they got to do is just kind of focus on hitting the ball hard or hitting the ball, making contact. I think better things will happen. But I think once you try and start pushing to get hits instead of just hitting the ball hard, I think that's why I think one of the reasons why Haniger has done as well as he's done, and it's not been perfect, but his at bats, even when he goes down and even when he strikes out, it's usually pretty competitive. But like, he's just up there trying to hit the ball hard. Like, yeah, I'm not, you want to hit, obviously, but you just want to hit the ball hard. And I think that's a mentality that most players have. But when you struggle, it's easy to get away from that. It's like so like everybody's just like saying, oh, it's the control the zone thing. The control the zone thing is a talking point. It's how you practice. It's how you the work you do, the drills you do, some of that stuff. It's a mindset there. Once you step in the box, it's like, they're not worried about, oh, I got to make sure I get really good on Scott's rake score. He's not going to play me. They got 26 guys. These guys are going to play. That's not what their approach is. They're not worried about controlling the zone. The control the zone aspect is like, get a good pitch to hit and hit it hard. The problem is these guys aren't getting the good pitches that they're getting. They're fouling off, or they're swinging and missing, or they're just not making quality contact. So I don't like everybody was like, oh yeah, that's what that is. They're not up there looking to walk, and they're not up there looking for the perfect pitch. But what's happening now is like when you're scuffling, you do stuff to get out of the approach, and all it does really, like I said this before, you can go up there with the best plan in the world. And if the guy makes like an amazing pitch on 1-1 and he throws like this nasty slider that catches the edge and you can't hit it, but you watch it and they call it a strike, well, your plan is pretty much hosed. You know what I mean? Because now you're 1-2 and you're, that's the thing. It's like the Mike Tyson line. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. I mean, like, that's what's happening. They're getting punched in the face with some pitches and they're behind and they don't know how to get out of it. And, I mean, it's just compounded because it's multiple guys. It's their best guys doing it.
Right. But what is it though? Is it I haven't looked at it. Maybe you've looked at it from a year ago, like Polanco and Garver and some of these, like the newer guys on the team. Were they guys that struggled? I mean, you mentioned Polanco. He's a career. What was he? 19% strikeout rate guy?
Yeah.
And he's at 37?
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember if he was hurt at this point last year. I think Garver was dinged up at this point.
But how in the past, how have those guys hit breaking pitches, off speed pitches? Because
I haven't looked. I mean, I don't necessarily. And the thing is, though, is the result isn't just like because they're striking out isn't just necessarily because it's breaking pitches.
Yeah.
But that's how they're getting behind in count sometimes. Because I think a lot of times what they're doing is watching breaking pitches, or they're taking defensive swings on breaking pitches when they have 2 strikes on them versus, and I mean, like, I didn't get into the numbers as much as I wanted to because there was a 6'4" guy in the middle seat who seemed to have his elbow buried into my rib cage the entire time. And God bless the flight attendants on Alaska, but it was 10,000 degrees in there, Puckett. You would have sweated.
Always hot. It's just always,
it just was like, I mean, when the woman on the window seat is fanning herself, then it's hot.
You were middle seat?
No, I wasn't. There was a 6'4" guy in middle seat.
My God.
I was aisle.
That poor guy.
No, not poor guy. Poor me. His elbows. He took up all the space.
But
he was man-spreading.
6'4", man.
Well, then don't. Yeah, he shouldn't have booked that flight.
And how do you establish? I mean, this is an old age question, right? Everyone debates this. How do you establish control of the armrest? Do you go in right away? Do you try to establish it immediately, or do you cede a little bit of room for the guy or the person in the middle and allow them to have it because they're in the middle seat? What's your etiquette on that?
A guy that big, I'll give him most of the armrest.
Sure.
I just don't need it spilling over. I don't need to feel him. Like Akita, my boy Alex Akita said, just put your hand on the inside of his thigh and start rubbing it. He'll get over.
Move over eventually.
Yeah.
Or he'll elbow you in the face.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. But I mean, like, I could have gone even more granular. But at this point, too, like going super granular or going deep, it's 13 games. Like if it was 30 games, a month into this, I may look at it again. But like really, I just was looking for a story, and I was on Baseball Savant, and I was looking up some of the stuff.
They're great
I had
numbers,
mentioned
man.
it. Yeah, I'd mentioned it before earlier in the year, and I wrote a story about last year, just about how and everybody is seeing more and more spin, because guys have caught up to hitting fastballs now, even though they're throwing them 100. So it's like, I think the thing is I think they're pressing as a group because they want to win, and they aren't playing well. And when you see, guys not hitting, then all of a sudden, okay, I'll do it. I'll be the one. I'll get the hit.
Right.
Julio had that problem. And so, and when he's not hitting, it all looks really bad.
Why? What? I mean, and again, if he knew what the reasons were, he'd change them.
Yeah.
But if he gets off to these slow, and listen, he's young in his career, but he does get off these slow starts, and then we'll ramp it up, and then at the end of the year, you go, it's like last year. You're like, well, you look at his back of the baseball card and go, well, that's a hell of a good season. I mean, he finished 4th in the MVP voting. But what is it? Is he just going to always be this way, or is there something maybe he even talks about perhaps changing and doing something different so he doesn't get off to these slow starts? Because his play does kind of affect the rest of the team. They go as he goes.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any one thing. I mean, like you can change up your routine and everything else, and like some people think if you do too much in spring training, you have too many at bats, then you kind of, you get in the season, it's already like you played a month, and they didn't do that this year. They had less. He's just, he doesn't. It just looks like some of the fastballs he should be hitting, he's a little late. He's just a tick off. His timing's off. It's just. He had changed up the load to his swing a little bit, and maybe he's still trying to figure that out. Because again, once you get into it's like I was trying to tell somebody, you have an approach. You go up there with an approach of what you're looking to hit, what a pitcher has. You study what a pitcher has, what you're looking to hit, where you feel like you do the most damage. But the pitcher's plan is, I don't ever want to give him that pitch,
right?
And so what happens is I think a couple times Julio's been up there looking for that perfect pitch, but he's got to realize, of all the people in that lineup, they're most likely to never give him anything to hit. So then when he does get that pitch to hit, it just, he tries to overcook it, or he's not maybe ready. It's unexpected that he gets that pitch to hit, or that mistake in that count, fouls it off, or kind of is out in front, rolls it over, or whatever. And I think that's what we're seeing. The strikeouts are there too. He's had some tough pitches called on him as well. And, everybody's human. They get in their head like, oh, here we go again. Like, he made such a big point about not starting off slow. Then he starts off slow, maybe sometimes not talking about or saying it is the best thing. It's like setting, like the Mariners are great at that. Never set a goal. That way, if you don't get there, you're not considered a failure.
That's how I go through life. I don't set goals because I'll never reach them.
I was like, I can't remember who's saying, like, I don't know, man. You set goals. That just means you can set yourself up for failure. If you never have any goals, you just exceed expectations.
It's perfect. It's exactly. Well, see, he was delayed in spring, right? Because he had the hand injury.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay. But once he came back, he didn't play all that much.
No, not a ton. I mean, he started to play the last, maybe, but the last week he played quite a bit.
Okay.
And he hit some balls hard. But I think just he's at that point where he's just trying to get on time and figure out the timing with his swing, and it just hasn't been there. And I mean, that's the worst feeling, because you're up there trying to compete against the best guys in the world, and no hitter gets pitched to tougher on that team than him.
Right.
And so when you're not feeling it and you don't feel like it's right, I think really he just needs that one, and you've seen it. He needs that one ball to right center, that nuke to right center, and where he just stays on the ball a long time and drives it out of the park. That's the one. That's the feeling he needs. Yeah. And I think sometimes he gets caught up in the idea of got to get the ball in the air, got to get the ball in the air, and to his detriment.
Yeah, it's just like we approach it in Little League. Everyone's just hit it. We want it over second base.
Yeah,
right up the middle.
It's part of the field. That's where the most area is. Just hit it there. So, like it's. But I mean, like, hitters go through that, and he just hasn't seen enough mistakes to really. I'll give Yusei credit. He pitched better than I've seen him pitch in a long time. It was nuts, and he really hides the ball a long time. You could see guys were struggling to see the ball off him. So, but it, maybe it'll get easier, maybe it won't. But you're 13 games in now. I think I think it's fair to be concerned. You know, a month from now, at the end of the month on May 1st, if we get there and everything's still like this, then that's more than just like a slump. That's a problem.
Yeah, I'll speak for I guess for fans. It's not so much the record that bothers me. Like whatever. Yeah. It's 5-8. I mean, it's such a long damn season.
They're 2 games back.
They're 2 games back. Like the record doesn't bother me.
It's how they're playing.
It's how they got to 5-8.
Yeah.
That's what you look at and you go, see, this we were supposed to address this in the offseason. Now it's worse. And plus the defense is worse. Yeah. And the starting pitching isn't good right now. That's I think the concern, because we've just focused, almost 20 minutes just talking about the offense. I mean, the starting pitching, and you noted it in your story that I mean, and we talked about it last week, or I think this week. I mean, their margin of error is so thin with their starters. If they're not on, you see the results. Do you think it's, as a whole, chalk it up to them maybe putting too much pressure on themselves, thinking that, God, we're not going to get plays made behind us, so we need to be perfect on every single pitch? Do you think there's any of that?
The pitchers? Yeah. I think they'll never come out and say it, right. But you know what, like, trying to punch guys out quickly. I mean, I think that's maybe what we saw, something that Kirby at bat, or the George Springer at bat versus Kirby. Like, he just kept pumping fastballs at him, and he's found them off. Like, you got to do something different. You can't be afraid to miss outside of the strike zone, but you're also trying to punch a guy out because you just don't trust maybe that your guys are going to make the plays. And I don't know that they had that fear last year. I don't even know if they have it this year. I think they all believe it. But they're not stupid. They see that these plays aren't being made behind them. Kirby, of all people, has seen it. So I think with George, there's a stubbornness sometimes to want to do it how he does it and believe that he can beat guys in the strike zone no matter what. Whereas, like, yeah, you can do that, but why don't you just show one out of the strike zone and maybe they'll chase it so you don't have to do it.
Right.
And then, like with Castillo, it's just the mindset of, look, the shit is moving a lot more than you thought it was. So maybe you got to aim differently, or you got to think differently. If your 2-seam fastball that you're trying to throw off the plate keeps leaking back onto it to a lefty, then throw it right, either throw it down the middle so it leaks off, or throw it right at him so it leaks in. Don't throw it where you normally do, because it hasn't. So I think that's part of, like, Castillo, just everything he misses, when he misses, it goes back to the plate. Or else, like, if he misses off the plate, it's way out of the zone. Like, he's not missing an inch or two off the plate to get a swing. He's missing 8 inches off the plate. And if he misses when he's missing on the plate, it's right down the center. That's the worst place you can be. And I think he's just got to adjust to that in the movement, because I think everything's moving a ton. And another thing, too, is, like, his changeup hasn't been very good. And so he hasn't thrown a lot. He needs that pitch. It's got to get better. So he's got to work on that.
Yeah.
Kirby, look at Logan, though, the other night. His split finger wasn't very good. So he threw a whole bunch of sliders. And after watching what happened to Kirby and after watching what happened to Castillo, he wasn't going to miss down, or he wasn't going to miss in the zone with it. Well, he did once, and that ball's still going. But the rest of the time, like, he was missing down and out of the zone.
Hey, they start the 3-game series here with the Cubs on Friday. Bryce Miller will get the ball, and then this weekend we're going to see Emerson Hancock again. If he gets roughed up again or has a bad start, do you think that they will make a move there? I mean, you got Keuchel down in Tacoma. Do you think they would bring him up?
I mean, they could bring up this Jonathan Diaz guy who's actually pitching better and is more stretched out. Okay. And I think he's, like, you have to create a roster spot, but yeah, I don't know that they'll go Emerson again if he struggles. They just didn't want to. I mean, they could have skipped him, and I thought maybe what they'd do is call up 2 relievers. I didn't know that the one guy was dealing with kidney stones, but, like, they could call up. I thought they were going to call up a reliever for Hancock and then make a decision, for this week. But they don't want to skip the start. They don't want to skip a start. They want to give the guys extra rest, and I don't blame them. So it's like, yeah, I think this is it's like, show them that you can do this or not. Because like, the one thing is he didn't play horrible. He didn't pitch horribly till the end. He just gave up a lot of hits, and then it was still 6-2, and he threw up a scoreless inning after that. Like, if the Mariners score 3 or 4 and they get a scoreless frame, then you think, okay, yeah, he has something. But we didn't know, obviously, that the one guy was dealing with kidney stones either. So I mean, that makes I don't know how that guy even
That doesn't
operated.
sound comfortable at all.
No, so I think they'll give him another chance. They might give him 2 more chances, but Woosh. I'm sure they're thinking we'll be back within the next 2 weeks. So maybe they just kind of piece it together without having to burn a roster spot or DFA a player.
Are they going to, at some point, I'm wondering, let Garver catch more rather than Zavala?
No, I think what they would do is just go get bring up this Michael Papierski guy.
Is he in Tacoma?
Yeah, he's a switch hitter. I mean, they could bring him up. That's the thing is, like, Zavala's been kind of struggled defensively. Somebody complaining.
Kinda.
Not, somebody was complaining, though, like, Cal's not playing enough. I'm like, I don't know what you've seen, but, like, this guy, I mean, like, you got to give him a day off every once in a while so you have him in September.
Yeah. You're going to run him into the ground.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, Zavala he's out of options, but again, like, is it, if you lose him or whatever, is it that big of a loss? I don't know. I mean, the backup catcher is not the biggest of issues, but yeah, I guess if they wanted a more viable guy, the Papierski guy is a switch hitter. He's really athletic. Technically, he should be a better receiver than him. So I don't know. I mean, they have another guy, Blake Hunt, who is also, they say, better defensively. So, but he has kind of minimal AAA experience. So, I mean, they could make that move. I just don't. Like, you're trying to get Garver going a little bit. I think the worst thing you can do is catch him and bang him up.
That's true. I was curious if they would ever contemplate it with how much Zavala has been struggling. Hey, not like Mariners, but it does concern them because it concerns everyone in baseball. But for a guy who, like yourself, played college baseball, and I'm curious, you didn't pitch, but you caught.
I pitched my first year. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you blame on this uptick of arm injuries? Because I know the Players Association wants to blame it on the pitch clock, and maybe there's something to that, but it just really seems like there is, and you see it at the youth level, this desire for maximum velocity and maximum spin rate is what is really leading to all these arm injuries.
Yeah, because you're throwing max effort all the time,
every single pitch.
And then, like, and the way they train now to build up velocity with the weighted ball routine and stuff, which are all really good. But again, like, these guys are pumping it as hard as they can, and they're generating this arm speed and the ligament. And what they're doing is they're doing it at younger ages. So, like, these college kids and stuff, they're all doing it now. So they come to the big leagues. They've already been doing that. And the reason is because the incentive is there to do it. Like, if you're right-handed and you don't throw 90 miles an hour, you're not getting a D1 scholarship. You're just not. They're not going to look at you. I don't care what kind of numbers you put up. They're not taking you. Unless you have, like, the wipeout slider, they're not going to do it. That's what makes, I mean, how many right-handers throw below 95 in the big leagues? 10%?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can get away with it if you're lefty, but not righty. So you're incentivized. And then, like, these relievers, if you want to make the team and because they have the numbers and it says, well, look, because Bryce Miller even mentioned it, when he throws a fastball above 95, it's got, 10 times more success rate than a pitch at 93. So, like, if you're a guy and you're on the fringes, and you figure, if I just increase by 2 ticks more, I'll be that much better and I can get to the big leagues and I can get paid, then they're going to do it. I mean, like, Shane Bieber, he blew out this year. He spent all offseason trying to rebuild up his arm strength, trying to get some velo back. His changeup was 90 miles an hour. His slider spin and his velocity is up. At some point, the elbow is going to give. That's what we talked about with Matt Brash. Like, it's only, a lot of people figure it's only a matter of time for a lot of guys that it's going to go, and then you repair it and hope that goes back to normal. But it's an unnatural motion throwing that way. And what we're doing now is putting increased pressure on that part of the body. And you've seen it too. I mean, there are kids out there now that are doing the throw pull downs at 13, 14 years old, the running pull downs where they throw as hard as they can against the wall on the long toss and everything. Mm-hmm. But it's an extreme measure to build up versus a natural build up. You used to just play long toss every day and you built up, but now it's extreme long toss, like Trevor Bauer. Throw it as far as you can, throw it as hard as you can. It's just not, it's not normal. And what we're doing is younger kids are doing it because they're incentivized to do it too. And they have people telling them that they need to do this to get your college scholarship or whatever you want to do. And you get into the big leagues and they're incentivized to do it even more, and it's going to blow out. But I mean, we're hearing about it more because it's the big dudes. It's the real guys like Bieber, it's Cole, it's Strider, the guys that have the elbow injuries that are, if it's just Joe Schmo from whatever, a AAA quad A guy, people don't go as crazy.
Because you can just chew those guys up and spit them out and you'll find another one.
Honestly,
and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, pitchers, especially like relievers. Yeah. Relievers are like running backs. They're like running backs. You just toss them away,
It's just a commodity. It's just a product to them. And I know that's cold to think that way, but that's what it is to these teams.
That's why, like, for the longest time, Brash didn't want to go to the bullpen because he knew, like, if you're a starter and you sustain, you make real money.
Right.
Like, the most a reliever makes is, Eddie Diaz. You have to be Eddie Diaz, or you don't make very much, and like, the shelf life and like the role of the reliever is so different that it's harder to make money or have sustained success, whereas if you're a starter. But yeah, baseball has made it that way from the youth leagues all the way up. That because it's like a showcase thing. These perfect game showcases. Yeah. You go in there and you throw 20 pitches, and what do you think they're doing? They're throwing as hard as they possibly can to pop the radar gun, so the coaches see topped out at 95 at 18 years old or 17 years old.
I saw this story, and I don't know anything about this young man, and I hope his future is bright, and I hope that he has no issues. But I did, with all this stuff kind of coming out, because I watched a kid a couple of weeks ago who was like one of the top junior pitchers in the state, and he's throwing like 92, and it was incredible. He was a really good pitcher, and it was fun to watch. But I mean, he threw like 100+ pitches in 5 innings, and then went and played shortstop after it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this kid is going to blow his arm out. And then there's this young man, and forgive me if I don't know his name. He's in Puyallup. He's a junior, I think, and he's one of the top pitchers in our state. And they were saying, I think it's in the News Tribune, he throws 95.
Does he go to Puyallup High School?
Yes.
So he's probably not from Puyallup, actually.
I don't know.
Asking him that one.
I don't know.
In honor to my boy Brian Robinson, who coaches at Curtis. He's probably not from Puyallup. I'm guessing maybe Camas.
But they were saying
Mountain Home or Mountain View or something like that.
I don't know. Maybe he is from Puyallup.
Maybe. Probably. It's like I always tease somebody. Like, I teased Jordan Stone because he went to Newport. I was like, you guys didn't have the money to recruit kids from Tacoma to come play football for you.
Yeah, back in the day, I think they did. But they said this kid throws like in the mid-90s, and I'm like, oh my, like at 17? Like, God, I hope he's okay, and maybe he will be, and he'll be great, and he'll be fine. But God, I just with all this rash of injuries, all I could think about is he going to throw his arm out in a year?
Well, it's the thing too is like guys train so much now. They train year round. Like, you look at these guys. They all want the Spencer Strider legs and ass, the big old pitcher butt and the legs, and it ain't no Rick Russells anymore. There's not. I mean, like, God bless. You remember Jonathan Broxton and his huge cannon legs?
I loved him.
I remember, like, I think Chad Billingsley, like, but these guys are all like, they're all big. Like, there are certain guys that can throw hard naturally because they have the lever system, in their body, whether it's, I don't know, the rotational flexibility or whatever to generate that, where it's like the arm just comes along for the ride, but other guys can't. And that's the difference. So like, you always kind of are worried about a kid throwing 95 at 17 or 18 years old because you wonder how long it's going to be. But like, I remember, was it Josh, Chicken and Beer guy from the Red Sox who, pitched for the Marlins. He was a high school kid that threw 97. He maintained that for the longest time. Yeah, Beckett. But I think he blew out once too. They all do. But yeah, Blake Bevan, when he was in high school, threw 98 miles an hour. He's big. You remember how big he was?
Yeah,
and then he blew out, and then it was just never the same. So we've made it like incentivized it. It's no different than. Oh, it's different because it's not illegal, but like during the steroids era, and you see how hard it is to make it to the big leagues, and you see how much money you can make. So if you're the quad A guy, whether you're a pitcher or a hitter, and you think, look, if I just do it this 1 year and I make it to the big leagues, this is my dream. I got to get here. I'm so close, but there are other guys in the big leagues doing this and I'm not, and they're staying and I'm riding the shuttle back and forth. I'll just do it. I'll just do it for a little bit. It's no different than a supplement, because at the time it wasn't illegal in baseball either, technically, and nobody was testing for it. So it's like, I'll just do it to get up there because I can change my family's dynamic for years to come if I just do this. And
especially if you're from a poor country.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you see these guys get popped all the time because to them, it's worth it.
Or it's like for these guys that also was also like, oh, I'm dinged up. My arm hurts, I'm banged up. If I take these, I'll get healthier faster. I can go back to my workouts and I can go. And so it's like, yeah, we incentivize it by doing that. The chicks dig the long ball thing. We incentivized it. I mean, like, and don't ever forget the ego aspect of it. Like the Barry Bonds was pure ego. He couldn't handle McGuire and Sosa getting all that love. That's why he did it. Allegedly did it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why they do it. I mean, and I think a lot of people would do it put in a similar situation.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people would. I mean, there's going to be some that wouldn't, that have that kind of moral code, but there's just a lot of people that would do it. I just think it's something to watch on. I don't think it has anything to do with the pitch clock. I know they want to go that angle. I just think we have built this thing up where it's harder, faster, more spin, and I just think it's gonna, you see it at the younger and younger level. I mean, I see it with 10, 11, 12-year-olds. That's all they want to do is that. How hard can we throw the ball? And you're like, you got to try and kind of bring them down a little bit, and like, let's just locate the ball. All right, let's like throw strikes and not walk everybody left and right. All right,
that sounds like more of a personal thing because you don't want to sit through a 9-hour game.
Oh God, it's the worst sometimes. Although our last game was great. I think 2 teams combined had 7 walks.
That's not bad.
That's unbelievable for Little League.
Yeah.
That's for a bunch of 11-year-olds. That was great. And it was fast. And we played an actual whole game, 6 innings. It was unbelievable. It was great. All right. Fun series starts up. I'm going to try and get the ballpark and take the little man for the Red Series because of one person and one person only. The guy moves the needle. I cannot wait to see this guy play in person. God, I love him. I love Ellie De La Cruz, and I can't wait to see it. And I hope he hits one in the gap and tries to score an inside the park home run. Because, I mean, he is just electric.
Yeah,
he's the most exciting player in baseball right now.
I mean, he's an avatar. That's what JP called him. Like, he looks like an avatar. It's just so just
seems like a great guy too. Great kid.
Seems to have fun. Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
It'll be interesting to see. No LV Marte this year though.
No, that's unfortunately. Yeah, no, he got popped. All right, you enjoyed. Now you spent this entire time in the UW Tacoma YMCA reflection room. What'd you reflect on?
Life choices about travel, mostly. Things like that. So the thing is, like, I'm at the Y and I was going to work out, but I think I'm just going to go get some lunch.
This has been so long. I've taken you away from the workout and now it's just lunchtime.
Yeah. My back's all jacked up though, too. So I don't know.
You are the best. Ryan's with us every Wednesday and Friday throughout the baseball season. Big thanks to the Frederick family, all brought to you by Chalet Bowl. Visit chaletbowl.com. All right, Ryan, we'll talk to you next week. I appreciate it, my friend.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
Okay, we'll talk to you guys soon. As always, we promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!